Good morning! Today, we will talk about exercise. Ano nga ba ang purpose ng exercise? Is it for weight loss or for weight gain? First, talakayin natin muna ano ang ibig sabihin or definition ng exercise. So, exercise is not just about doing or moving around like household chores or di kaya pagtatrabaho because by definition, exercise is the repetitive movement of large muscle bulk. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Ito ay pabalik-balik na paggalaw ng mga major or group of muscles sa ating katawan. So if you are doing something pero kakaunti lang, maliit na muscles lang yung nagagamit, so it's not really exercise. Like for example, writing. Gumagamit ka ng muscles pero sa mga maliliit na muscles lang of your digits. Whereas when you say exercise, it's really about large muscle bulk. So for example, upper body strength, you will do some lifting or di kaya if you do some squats, so that's for lower body. And kapag ikaw naman ay do swimming like what I'm doing now, kakatapos ko lang ng aking 30-minute swim and I thought, why not? Magkwento tayo about exercise. And these physical activities are very good when it comes to building your muscle strength, pampalakas ng ating muscles, and at the same time, pampalaki din ng ating muscles. But when it comes to weight loss, effective nga ba ang exercise? Marami na yung nagsasabi na exercise is the way to go. Kakauntian mo lang yung kain mo and then mag-exercise ka, you will lose weight. Initially, it may be evident, especially sa mga nagka-crash diet, but by research, kakaunti lang yung nagiging successful talaga. Because nakita natin ngayon that weight per se, yung timbang lang natin, is not actually directly related to our movement alone. Hindi lang yung mobility natin. In fact, the large bulk of our weight, our body physique is actually related more on our food intake. 80 to 95% is related to our food. So that's why kung meron man ibang nag-exercise but hindi nag-a-adjust ng kanilang food intake, they may be successful initially but over time you will see na hindi sila magiging sustainable yung kanilang weight loss journey. Merong of course na disiplinado na sustain nila pero mas marami like the general public cannot actually sustain that much of success because magkakaroon ng inconsistency, magkakaroon ng contradiction yung pangangailangan ng katawan mo as compared to the demand ng iyong katawan and what you are providing it. If you are always exercising and you are doing deficit, calorie deficit without the substantial needed vitamins and minerals, then that may not be sustainable. Yung iba, it can lead into muscle loss, pero meron ding iba na nagli-lead ito ng rebound weight gain. That's why for those who are doing exercise solely for weight loss, it may be very hard. Very hard, especially in the beginning, unless sobra-sobra yung willpower mo. And we all know that willpower can actually be exhausted. Pwede itong mawala, pwede itong maubos. And that's why it is good to pair exercise when it comes to your deeper reason of why you're doing it. And the best reason to do so is to actually stay healthy. And when you decide to do exercise to be healthy, your weight will just go on its optimum level. So, hindi mo kailangang isipin yung weight mo if you are doing exercise the right way and with the right food. And what do we mean when it comes to right food? So magkakaroon nito ng difference when it comes to your goal. For maintenance alone, so just general low carb is actually good. Meron ding iba na hindi sila naglo-low carb, they just eat a little carbs pero they avoid simple sugars and sweets. And it's a good practice to do exercise because you develop the discipline. And when you develop the discipline, you also get to have easier compliance when it comes to sticking to healthier foods because as you all know, pinaghirapan mo na yan. You already worked hard for your physical strength, for your body, for your all of those exercise hours that you spend sa gym, sa instructor, sa coach ninyo. And it can just be jeopardized if you are eating the wrong foods. And if you eat the wrong foods, kahit pa yung iba may mga mindset sila na kaya nga ako nag-exercise so I can enjoy the chocolates, I can enjoy the cake, I can enjoy the desserts, I can enjoy the soda. Yes, they can have that mindset, but usually nakikita natin their health journey, their health status is actually on and off, nagre-rebound. It's like the time that they are doing exercise, it's like they're doing it for punishment. They're doing it just because they binge eating. But when you are eating right, you actually accomplish exercise the more fulfilling way, wherein exercise, as what they say, is a celebration of what your body can do. So exercise, if it comes to weight loss, may be effective only initially. But if you want to experience healthy weight loss, I suggest actually that you start first with the right food intake, especially if you are interested with low carb. It is advisable to not do any exercise first. You just start with low carb nutrition. Give yourself time, at least 2 weeks of low carb intake. Avoid muna sugar, sweets, avoid muna ng mga processed foods. You stick on our safe list. Meron tayong safe list dito. I'll show you. Search nyo lang yung hashtag na yan in Facebook. We also have a website where you can download a printable format of that. Marami na tayong members in thousands and hundreds of thousands na meron na silang food list ng JGC Rojo food list nakalagay sa kanilang refrigerator, nakalagay sa kanilang kitchen so that they're always reminded of what to eat within our safe list. So, yung safe list natin, you stick to that to 2 weeks. Why 2 weeks? That is just a safe average. In fact, other people successfully transition into low carb from high carb in as little as 3 days. Nagiging fat adapted na sila. Why do we want fat adaptation? Bakit gusto natin na fat adapted muna tayo before we do exercise? Because our muscles is one of those parts ng ating katawan that is actually demanding for food. And if you are still transitioning, yung alam na food ng inyong muscles is still carbs, is still glucose. So, gusto natin, makalimutan muna yan yung carbs. And it is possible. It is natural for our body, for our muscles to actually burn fats for energy. Pero hindi ito nangyayari overnight. It can happen when you either fast, do extended fasting, or if you do low carb. So with fasting, madali lang yan, especially if you do dry fasting in as little as 18 hours or even less, pwede na kayong mag-start on ketosis. But when you do just low carb, you are not fasting, which is advisable for beginners. Hindi kailangan mag-fasting. Huwag pilitin, huwag ma-pressure sa mga nag-extended fasting. You actually don't need to do that. You have to go the slow and safe way. And that slow and safe way is to just eat as much as you can until you are satisfied, until you feel like you are nourished, and then eventually, slowly, naturally, yung katawan nyo magbe-burn lang ng fats for energy. And it will take time for your muscles to get to know those fats. Kasi kahit pa natural for us humans to use fats, ketones, fatty acids as energy. But since pinanganak tayo in this modern times wherein yung ating definition of go foods ay mga sugary sweets lang, then it is a matter of time. It will take a short time. It will take a short time with the right determination for ourselves to teach our own body na i-activate ulit yung mekanismo na yon na kung saan kayang-kaya ng ating muscles, kayang-kaya ng ating brain, majority of our brain, to actually use fats as energy. So, kayang-kaya natin gawin yan. So, 2 weeks is our minimum. You do low carb first. Huwag i-force yung exercise. If you are already doing exercise, try to observe your own body kung kaya. But if not, I suggest you slowly introduce exercise as you transition to low carb para yung inyong pagpasok sa healthier lifestyle ay magiging sustainable, hindi on and off. And make sure that you also induce some electrolytes, especially salt. Huwag matakot sa asin, especially if you are doing low carb, especially if you are exercising. Did you know na Every day, we need at least 2 teaspoons of salt, even if sa mga naka-high carb. How much more sa mga naka-low carb, wherein our salt and water na turnover sa ating katawan ay mas mabilis. And when we do exercise, every 30 minutes or so na exercise of sweating, we are losing about half teaspoon of salt. So we also need to replenish that, and essential yan. Or else, kapag hindi nyo ginawa yan sa mga nagsimula ng mag-low carb noon, and then they are doing exercise and they saw na parang nanghihina sila, nawawalan sila ng energy, nawawalan ng resistensya, parang wala na silang stamina. Sayang na sayang yung healing, yung progress, yung improvement na makikita niyo sana only if you did it the right way. And sometimes the only thing that's lacking is just the electrolytes. So when it comes to exercise, weight loss, I hope, is not just your own goal, but it is about health gain. And when it comes naman to weight gain, it is, yes, very much achieved with exercise. There are specific exercises that are gearing towards weight gain, and these are resistance exercises, wherein resistance training, wherein you build muscles. Because majority of exercises, like say for example, cardio exercises like running, and then biking, those are cardio exercises. So you will see the ones who are biking and runners, marathoners, they're very lean, very ano yan, very tingnan mo parang payat na payat, puro muscles. And yes, they are very lean, but they don't have the muscle bulk. For others, they may look like more skinny, but actually they're actually very healthy. The amount of muscles in the body is not the only determinant of health, okay? Maraming matataas yung muscle bulk, but they did it on steroids, on so many supplements na pampalaki talaga ng muscles, but it doesn't mean that they're actually healthy. But the real health is your metabolic flexibility, yung kakayahan mong mag-shift ng fuel source into fats or glucose, whatever is available, and your resistance to stress, your resistance to illness, sa mga infection, kung ano man, your body is capable of adjusting. The definition of resiliency kapag na sa stress ka is parang trampoline. So, parang trampoline, if you will bounce on that, yes, it will stretch, but after that, it will go back to its natural normal state. And if there is a rebound on the normal state, then that is what we call resiliency. Pero kapag ikaw ay natamaan ng sakit and then you suddenly parang feeling mo, since nagka-COVID ka for example, your health just declined over time, then maybe you are not that metabolically resistant. So exercise, actually, if you don't do it the right way with the right food, it may not be very effective with weight loss. And actually in low carb, for those who are doing low carb na payat na, nawala na yung kanilang fats, but they also seem to have lost muscles, then that's actually the time that we recommend exercise for weight gain. Yes, tama po kayo. Tama yung narinig ninyo. We even recommend exercise not for weight loss but for weight gain, because weight loss, the most natural way to do it is just about food intake and then just do fasting, but do it the right way, hindi yung basta-basta lang without the proper mindset. And never do low calorie food intake when it comes to initial weight loss without looking at your micronutrients, vitamins and mineral intake. Yung calorie deficit, it can have some effect, but when you are starting, you actually don't need to do that, because you might activate your own starvation mode if you do low calorie. So in low carb, we don't recommend just eating less. It's about eating right. So what are the foods that are considered as nutrient dense? These are the food that may be low in calorie coming from carbohydrates, but you can get your calories coming from proteins, coming from fats, and that can be your fuel source for your energy. And the proteins that you are eating can be used to build muscles. So when it comes to low carb nutrition, exercise is a very good add-on for your overall health, for your overall metabolic flexibility. So weight is just a number, weight is just an artificial, superficial gauge. It's not the only thing that will matter, but trust how your body is healing, note how the inflammation is lowering down, how the aches and pains, yung pananakit sa katawan, yung brain fog, the things that are somewhat blocking your eyesight, the ones that are slowing your focus, nawawala yung inyong mental focus and clarity. The moment that you are fat adapted, you will see that everything's become clearer, and it is a virtuous cycle. It's one good thing leading to another. You start removing the carbs, you start removing the sugar, and then eventually you will notice na parang nawawalan ka na ng gana. But don't be afraid. That is just your body signaling you na you are actually now consuming according to your nutritional needs. And when you go hungry, you know that you are hungry nutritionally. Hindi lang yung dahil bored ka lang, hindi lang dahil yung wala ka lang magawa, o di kaya it's just the usual time na nakasanayan natin kumain na. So, contrary to others that exercise is the end all be all when it comes to weight loss, I'm sorry to tell you that no amount of exercise can outweigh your bad habits, bad eating habits. Focus more on eating nutrient dense foods, and eventually it will just come to you. Your body will just look for something to do because it will have so much energy, kakailanganin niyang i-expend ito. So, we have our own means and ways to spend energy. I usually do it through mental work, since most of my work entails mental work and physical work as well, in the hospital, in the operating room. And if time allows, I do it. One of my favorite way to have some exercise is actually swimming. Bakit? Kasi ayoko ng pinagpapawisan. I feel very warm and humid kapag pinagpapawisan ako. I only do it in the morning when I do my walk right now, walking or running in the morning after taking a bath. Before, it was before taking a bath. But now I feel refreshed. I feel more comfortable running, jogging, natapos na akong maligo. In that way, I don't feel yung parang mainit, yung parang malagkit. And of course, swimming. Kasi paano ka naman pagpapawisan kung ikaw ay nasa tubig na? So, I will take my last dip, and I hope you learned something in this video. And I hope you will share it also with your family and friends when it comes to exercising. And the best way to do exercise is with sunshine, with outdoors. And medyo mainit na. I've been here for more than 30 minutes at baka hindi nyo na ako makilala sa sobrang hinog ko na. I thank you all so much. I'll see you again in our next video. And if you wish to know more when it comes to low carb, how to do it the right way, how to do it the healthy way, especially sa mga meron ng mga sakit, meron ng mga iniinom na gamot, we want you to do it safe. Ayaw naming mapahama kayo, because if you jump from high carb immediately into low carb without knowing the details on how to adjust, what things to consider, then you might be falling into a dangerous point. Konti lang naman yung mga merong at risk nito, in wherein yung body nila is already highly inflamed, and then bigla-bila nila itong shift into very high fat, which may not be the ideal transition para sa inyo, then it can lead into side effects na ayaw naming maranasan ninyo. So if you wish to know more, we have an ongoing masterclass na pwede niyo yung salihan for diabetes, hypertension, fatty liver, mataas na cholesterol, triglyceridemia, mataas na uric acid, kidney problems, gallbladder problems para sa mga bata, because children already has about one-fourth na daw in the first world countries are obese, are already overnourished. Hindi na sila malnourished. They are malnourished, but on the opposite end, which is the too much food intake and wrong foods. And I feel really, really disheartened kasi merong mga iba na are doing low carb themselves, but they are feeding their babies cookies, crackers, mamon. Nakakalungkot lang. Hindi pa rin nila na-realize. And I think that's the failure of doing low carb na without proper scientific backup, because they just follow what they saw with others, but they don't know the science behind it, and sayang na sayang because they were able to apply it sa kanilang sarili, practically na-apply nila, but they don't know how to help others heal the same, because yun nga, hindi nila alam, akala nila sa kanila lang ito applicable, and nakakalungkot when you yourselves are healing but your loved ones are deteriorating because you don't know how to help them. So if you want to help them as well, You may join our groups, exclusive groups for this. It's LCF Masterclass. Search nyo lang that page on Facebook. That is our official page for enrollment only. For queries, we have live Q&A every weekend to answer your questions. So maraming salamat everyone. I hope to see you all in our next video. Remember to always stay low carb so that we all stay safe. Have a good day everybody.